Yimo addressed the 8 people. Don't kill her. Just imprison her. After all, she is a 1-turn 9-star Do-D. The 8 of them nodded in agreement, then turned their gaze toward the divine hall, hundreds of meters away. The hall was magnificent, entirely white in color, and its surroundings were adorned with mysterious carvings. Figures that resembled serpents, humans, and beasts, all intricately lifelike. How do we open this? Qin Tian hadn't spared Little Green a single glance the entire time. His attention was fixed on the hall, knowing that the rest of the Dragon Devourer Legion was not to be underestimated. As Qin Tian stared at the divine hall, a terrifying aura slowly began to emanate from it. Humph! Cunning humans. This divine hall is not something a handful of humans like you can open. You might as well give up. Little Green, now imprisoned by the 8-colored Do-Chi, ceased her struggle. She transformed into the form of a human woman and addressed the 3 floating in the sky. Speak. How do we open this hall, or you'll suffer? Xianmo said coldly, his voice filled with malice. You fools. You trespassers in the Medusa tribe's territory, once our 9 chieftains gather, none of you will leave alive. Little Green sneered before sitting down in silence. There are many terrifying presences hidden within this divine hall. The Medusa Hall's reputation is well-deserved. Yimo had been staring at the hall for some time without finding any clues before he finally spoke softly. Yaoxin, hurry up! The Xuanling king urged a woman among the 8 surrounding Little Green. Seeing that no one else had a solution, Understood, Yaoxin replied, stepping forward to Little Green's side. Help suppress her. If she struggles, it could all go wrong. Yaoxin warned, her eyes showing a trace of concern. Yaoxin was an alchemist who had reached the rank of 2nd-rank Imperial Earth Pill. Her soul power had just entered the Imperial Realm's mortal grade, thanks to the Xuanling royal family's considerable investment in enhancing her abilities. Yaoxin possessed an innate special talent, the ability to probe others' memories. This peculiar gift worked without much explanation, and even Qin Tian wasn't sure of the underlying principle. However, when used on stronger beings, the process was risky, and Yaoxin knew it wouldn't be easy with Little Green, who was a 1-turn 9-star Do-D. If Yaoxin wasn't careful, she could perish. Got it. The group acknowledged the urgency and immediately unleashed waves of powerful Do-Chi to suppress Little Green. Little Green felt an overwhelming force pressing down on her, making her bite her lips tightly and strain. Whoosh! Yaoxin's eyes lit up with joy. If it weren't for the group's suppression, probing the mind of a 1-turn 9-star Do-D, like Little Green, could have spelled her doom. Luckily, the suppression had reduced Little Green's power to that of an early 8-star Do-D, giving Yaoxin the confidence to proceed. Swish! Yaoxin closed her eyes, and a massive surge of soul power emerged. As soon as the invisible soul power reached Little Green, a ferocious aura exploded from within her. Yaoxin began to sweat profusely, clearly struggling even though Little Green's power had been reduced. Meanwhile, far off in the desert, an elder among 4 people, leaning on a serpent-headed staff, shuddered suddenly as a chill spread through his heart. So, it's true, Elder Shifu sighed. Master, what's wrong? Asked Qinghua Serpent, confused by her master's reaction. Nu Dong, this is your doing, isn't it? Elder Shifu turned slowly toward a burly man beside him, his voice calm but heavy with meaning. Humph! Shifu, Qinghua Serpent, now that you've seen through me, there's no need to hide it anymore. Yes, it was I. I have devoted everything to the Medusa tribe, but how have the other tribal chieftains and the council treated me? Nu Dong sneered, his tone filled with resentment. The desert isn't suited for our serpent folk. The Xuanling king promised me that once we retrieve the 9-colored heaven swallowing python from the divine hall, he'll grant us a suitable land to thrive. That will be the day of our tribe's prosperity. Nu Dong's voice turned sinister, his smile twisted with malice. You fool! How could you trust the Xuanling king? Have you forgotten the centuries of enmity between the Medusa tribe and the Xuanling royal family? Shifu roared in fury. And yet, among the Medusa tribe, my power and status rank in the top 3. If this succeeds, I will become the true king of the tribe. Nu Dong laughed maniacally. Humph. If you insist on this path, then I have no choice but to capture you and subject you to the torture of 1,000 serpents biting at your heart. Shifu's words echoed coldly as the space around him warped, and black and white Do Chi surged toward Nu Dong. Did you think I'd come here without a backup plan? Nu Dong sneered, and a black scroll appeared in his hand. A spatial scroll? Nu Dong, you truly spare no expense. This scroll alone is worth more than a second-rank Imperial Earth pill. Shifu's attack missed as Nu Dong vanished into thin air. Nu Dong reappeared in his own camp, deep in the desert. Chief, the team is assembled. 3 8-star Do Dis and 5 7-star Do Dis. A serpent folk warrior, with a sword strapped to his back, reported respectfully. Let's go. This will mark the beginning of a new era for the Medusa tribe. Xuanling King, you think you're clever? With Shifu's half-step Do Xian strength, even your 11 warriors will struggle to fend him off, not to mention the other tribal chiefs. The 9-colored python, I want it. And as for what's inside your body, Xuanling King, I want that too. Nu Dong's grin widened in a sinister fashion. Don't celebrate too soon, a chilling voice interrupted. The Xuanling King and his Dragon Devourer Legion are no pushovers. Be careful you don't stumble. Nu Dong's face grew calm as he turned toward the figure shrouded in ghostly black chi. You are right, my lord. Such a pity the Xuanling royal family thinks they can use the ghost realm to eliminate their enemies. How foolish. And Solomon has been showing signs of defiance, so they sent me. As for my goal, it's merely the souls of the Xuanling royal family's strongest warriors. The rest is yours. The ghost realm has given you so much, and now it's time to return it all, the pitch-black figure said slowly. The sinister black aura surrounding him was eerie, leaving an unfathomable sense of dread. Then here's to a successful cooperation, Lord Thousand-Faced Phantom, Nu Dong replied, ghostly chi also rising from his body, though not as terrifying as the figure before him. Inside the Medusa Divine Hall, the Xuanling King and his group were anxiously watching Yaoxin and Little Green. At this moment, the two appeared quite peculiar. Yaoxin had her beautiful eyes closed as a steady stream of invisible soul power flowed into Little Green. Although Little Green was resisting intensely, she was ultimately suppressed by the combined force of 7 8-star Do D experts. They were prepared to strike the moment anything unusual occurred. Let's go, retreat. It seems some uninvited guests have arrived at the entrance of the hall. Send out the Medusa Serpent Command. Xuanling King, let's settle this once and for all, Elder Shifu said with a slow smile, but the malice in his voice was unmistakable to all. Understood, Qinghua Serpent replied, instantly realizing the gravity of the situation. She released a small, 7-colored serpent from her hand, which shot into the sky, transforming into a vibrant 7-colored cloud that streaked toward the heavens. Another Medusa Serpent Command? What's happening now? Why are they issuing the Medusa Serpent Command again? Each of the 9 tribes of the Medusa clan noticed the 7-colored cloud in the sky shortly after their leaders returned to their respective tribes, murmuring in low voices. Damn humans! To treat my wife like this, I swear I'll kill them this time. In the enchanting serpent tribe, Mylan's fury flared upon hearing what had happened from Maya. Let's go. The signal is near the Divine Hall. Could it be that those humans are after the hall? With those words, 8 figures from 8 of the 9 tribes shot into the sky, heading toward the hall. It was rather peculiar, as the Divine Hall was located in the very heart of the 9 Medusa tribes, almost as if the tribes were safeguarding it. Meanwhile, below the desert, where the Divine Hall was located, how is it going? The Xuanling King asked anxiously as he saw Yaoxin withdraw her power. Something strange. According to my probing, it seems that the Divine Hall requires the power of at least 7 of the 9 Medusa tribe chieftains to open, Yaoxin said, her beautiful eyes filled with confusion. And the method is quite peculiar. It seems that all it takes is to channel one's Do Chi into the hall. Yaoxin was clearly unsure if this method was correct, although she had confidence in her unique talent. Moreover, with Little Green's strength being suppressed, the chances of an error seemed slim. The only other possibility was that this strange method might indeed be correct. How could there be such an odd way to open it? The Xuanling king furrowed his brows. Even with all his experience, he had never encountered such a method. Forget it. Let's just try it out first. I can sense several powerful presences heading this way. Yimo, who had remained silent, finally spoke up. Very well, let's proceed. With the strength of our group, we should be able to handle any threats, even from true Docian experts. The Xuanling king let out a cold snort, focusing on the hall as a powerful aura surged from him. Begin! The Xuanling king shouted as Little Green's aura weakened slightly. Whoosh! At his command, the 11 people's auras erupted. 11 towering pillars of Doqi, each a different color, rose into the sky and surged toward the white walls of the divine hall. Damn it! Little Green, in her human form, writhed in pain and tried to escape, slowly moving toward the exit of the hall. None of you will die a peaceful death. Little Green's aura surged, and in an instant, she broke free from the imprisonment. Her figure vanished in a flash, appearing hundreds of meters away and heading straight for the hall's exit. Boom, boom, boom. The Xuanling king and his group were too exhausted to pursue her, as Little Green, a one-turn 9-star Do-D, fled swiftly. Bang, bang, bang. The towering pillars of Doqi, now filled with terrifying black and white energy, slammed into the white walls of the divine hall with destructive force. However, the walls remained unchanged, as though they had stood unchanged for eons, no matter how fiercely the Xuanling king's group attacked. This hall is indeed strange. Pour in more power. Emo's eyes narrowed, sensing something. Whoosh! At his command, the 11 people's auras surged again. The Doqi pillars grew even larger, slamming against the white walls of the divine hall. As the Xuanling king's group strained in their assault on the hall, several shadowy figures slowly emerged in the dim space. Hehe, the Xuanling king really thinks he can enter the Medusa divine hall? I heard a little one from the serpent folk possesses a 9-colored heaven swallowing python. Could it be that girl? But why is the Xuanling king going to such lengths, mobilizing the entire dragon devourer legion? Could it be? In an inconspicuous corner of the divine hall's space, the air rippled slightly, though it went unnoticed by the focused Xuanling king and his group. Elder Zhu muttered to himself, his gaze locked on the white walls of the hall. At that moment, a strange change occurred on the previously pristine white walls of the hall. The color shifted, and a lifelike image began to form on its surface. What is that? In another hidden location, the three from Solomon squinted in shock, their eerie Doqi writhing fearfully as the image appeared on the walls. What's going on, Third Sect Master? Something's wrong. Retreat. The sharp-eyed Third Sect Master Lu Quan immediately shouted as he saw the strange changes on the walls, rushing toward the exit without hesitation. The image on the white wall was so realistic that even the Dragon Devourer Legion, which had been channeling Doqi into the hall, felt a shudder in their bodies. Several members who had not yet reached the 9-star Do-D level coughed up blood simultaneously. Stop! The Xuanling king roared, a surge of fear rising within him as he stared at the mysterious image on the walls. It was an unusual picture. In the image, a massive serpent, dozens of meters long, appeared. The serpent raised its proud head, glaring at the Xuanling king and his group with an expression of utter contempt, as if a mighty king looking down upon insignificant ants. The massive serpent was dazzling, its body divided into 7 sections, each glowing with a different color. More terrifying than the colors themselves were the completely different types of powers contained within each section. As for its serpent eyes, an eerie intelligence flickered within them, but for some reason, when the Xuanling king met those dead gray pupils, his very soul involuntarily trembled. The 7-colored heaven-swallowing python, Qin Tian muttered, slowly withdrawing his Doqi. His palm tightened instinctively, his eyes locked on the massive serpent. A dangerous atmosphere filled the space. Damn it! The Xuanling king cursed inwardly. Something's wrong. Why would a terrifying seven-colored heaven-swallowing python appear here? Is it really a seven-colored heaven-swallowing python? Yaoxin murmured, shocked. The legends say that the true heaven-swallowing python has 10 colors. When it reaches 10, it can devour the sun, moon, and stars, and its gaze alone can kill gods and shake the heavens and earth. Calm down, Qin Tian said, his eyes relaxing slightly. This isn't a seven-colored heaven-swallowing python. If it's not the seven-colored heaven-swallowing python, then what is it? Shinamo asked fearfully. Just the sight of this lifelike image was putting immense pressure on everyone. The seven-colored heaven-swallowing python is one of the most terrifying ancient beasts in the world. If this really were the seven-colored python, we'd all be dead by now, devoured by it, Qin Tian said with a smirk. As for this thing, it's likely a projection of the legendary serpent's illusory dance, he added. Serpent's illusory dance? The group murmured in confusion. It's understandable you've never heard of it. After all, the 10-colored heaven-swallowing python was wiped out by the ruler of the monster realm long ago. The heaven-swallowing python clan no longer exists in this world. As for what's in front of us, at most, it's just a projection within the divine hall, Qin Tian explained with a smile. A projection? So, does that mean there really is a seven-colored heaven-swallowing python in the hall? The Xuanling King's eyes lit up with joy. I can't say for sure, but there must be something related to the seven-colored python inside. Otherwise, there's no reason for its residual power to block our path like this, Qin Tian laughed. The seven-colored heaven-swallowing python. The Xuanling King's gaze burned with desire. The Xuanling King knew from ancient scrolls that the blood of the seven-colored python could significantly weaken the power of the sacred flame. As for the sacred flame, the Xuanling King knew well. It was the terrifying flame imprisoned in the seventh layer of the Xuanling royal family's underground palace. Capturing the sacred flame had cost the royal family a great deal, but even after generations of effort, they had been unable to fully subdue it. The sacred flame was one of the most powerful forces in existence, and without sufficient preparation, anyone who attempted to control it would be instantly incinerated by its overwhelming heat and energy. That's why the Xuanling King was so desperate to capture the seven-colored python, to use its blood to tame the sacred flame. If he could possess the sacred flame, the Xuanling King was confident that, combined with the Xuanling royal family's heritage, they could dominate the mystic three heavens, and it would no longer be just a dream. Heh. The seven-colored heaven-swallowing python. Back then, even a warrior with only the blood of a five-colored python severely injured the founder of the Xuanling royal family. But this is just a seven-colored python. If this hall truly contains the power of the seven-colored heaven-swallowing python, perhaps we can finally devour the soul of the Xuanling royal family's founder. After all these years, even with his Do Xian strength, he should have died 100 times over by now. The Xuanling King chuckled wickedly. Humph! Xuanling King, it's been a long time. Suddenly, a terrifying figure appeared in the divine hall as the image of the seven-colored python surfaced on the walls, slowing the Xuanling King's group. Shifu. I didn't expect you to have broken through to half-step Do Xian, a voice echoed through the hall. It was none other than Qin Tian, the commander of the Dragon Devourer Legion and the Xuanling King's royal uncle. Qin Tian was a peak Do D of the mystic three heavens. He had reached the 9-turn 9-star Do D stage many years ago, but despite his efforts, he had yet to break through to the half-step Do Xian realm. This was why Qin Tian had agreed to accompany the Xuanling King to the Medusa clan. In truth, Qin Tian cared more about breaking through to Do Xian than the survival of the Xuanling royal family. He knew that once someone reached a certain level of power, they could command respect from all. Today, no matter who is here, the Xuanling King said coldly, we will break into this hall. As he spoke, a terrifying aura spread from him, and his fiery red Do Qi, mixed with the force of life and death, surged toward Shifu. Go! Qinghua Serpent was about to make a move when her master, Shifu, stopped her. Xuanling King, I'll give you one chance. Leave now, and the Medusa clan will overlook this incident, Shifu said calmly, deflecting the Xuanling King's attack as he stepped forward with his serpent-headed staff. Qinghua Serpent, Little Green, and Qing Yin were baffled by Shifu's actions. Shifu, we've been rivals for so many years. Do you really think words will make a difference? Qin Tian laughed. Sigh, stubborn as always. Shifu shook his head slightly, and a tremor spread through the hall as his powerful Do Qi filled the space outside. Half-step Do Xian, indeed. But even if you were a true Do Xian, you won't stop us today. The Xuanling King's eyes gleamed with hatred as he spoke viciously. The Xuanling King knew that regardless of the outcome today, there would be a life-and-death feud between them and the Medusa clan. If they succeeded in obtaining the heaven-swallowing python from the hall, it would be worth it. If they failed, the Dragon Devourer Legion would suffer great losses. The Dragon Devourer Legion was the true core force of the Xuanling royal family, and any significant loss to them would cause the royal family's influence to plummet. Enough of your nonsense, Shifu sneered, channeling his immense Do Qi into the serpent-headed staff in his hand. Whoosh, whoosh. As the powerful Do Qi surged into the staff, the entire staff glowed a vibrant green, and the two eyes of the serpent's head flashed with an eerie light. We can't delay any longer. Strike now, the Xuanling King shouted. If we wait for the other powerful warriors from the 9 Medusa tribes to arrive, we'll be in real danger. I was hoping for a more peaceful reunion, but since time is short, let's do this. Let me see how much difference there is between your half-step Do Xian strength and my peak Do Di power. Qin Tian laughed as 5 massive black and white energy spheres suddenly appeared around him. The moment the energy spheres emerged, the space trembled slightly, and a surge of life and death energy erupted from them. Since that's the case, Little Cyan, Little Green, you two handle the others for me. Elder Shifu commanded with a loud shout. In the next moment, the serpent-headed staff in Elder Shifu's hand emitted an ancient and eerie energy from the snake's sinister eyes. A surge of green Do Qi shot fiercely toward the white walls of the divine hall. Whoosh whoosh. As the eerie green Do Qi blasted out from Shifu's staff, Qin Tian felt a chill. Not good. Could it be? Cold sweat poured down Qin Tian's face as he pushed his speed to the limit, rushing toward the eerie green Do Qi. The 5 black and white energy spheres around him also followed suit. Boom, boom, boom. At the last critical moment, Qin Tian failed to stop the eerie green Do Qi. The green Do Qi struck the 7-colored heaven, swallowing python projection on the white walls of the divine hall. In an instant, the projection of the 7-colored heaven, swallowing python came to life. The Xuanling King's group watched in stunned silence as the 7-colored heaven, swallowing python peeled itself off the wall. Damn it! Now we're in trouble. Qin Tian cursed under his breath, for the first time showing a serious expression as he stared at the enormous serpent. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The 7-colored heaven swallowing python fully detached from the white walls of the divine hall, appearing as if it were alive. Its massive body, originally dozens of meters long, began growing rapidly the moment it was freed from the walls. Within moments, it had expanded to nearly hundreds of meters in length. At the same time, the space surrounding the Medusa Divine Hall, which had served as its protection, was completely shattered by the colossal body of the 7-colored heaven swallowing python. A massive rift opened in the desert above. Beneath the rift, the Xuanling King's group and Elder Shifu's group stood in tense confrontation. Xiao Yan? What is it? In the dark desert on the opposite side of the Medusa Divine Hall, they found themselves in a region of legend. This desert's sands were different from those in the desolate Death Desert, grayish and mysterious, either due to some special reason or by human influence. The one who spoke was Mu Yingying, who had received much care from Xiao Yan and Little Yi along the way, leaving her blushing. What's that? Xiao Yan's powerful soul had already sensed some distant forces. However, due to the distance, he hadn't paid much attention. But now, only a few thousand meters away from Xiao Yan and his group, a colossal creature suddenly appeared, sending a chilling sense of dread through him. What is that? Little Yi muttered, his voice low as his gaze landed on just a few massive sections of a 3-colored body, green, yellow, and blue. Each of the 3 colored segments stretched hundreds of meters long. Each color exerted immense pressure on Xiao Yan and the others, with a faint aura of death lingering in the air. Damn! That must be one of the ancient beasts of the Medusa clan, the heaven-swallowing python. Tang Tang said angrily, her voice full of frustration. Someone must have challenged the Medusa clan's authority, forcing them to summon such a guardian beast. Tang Tang calmed down, then spoke again. Commander, what should we do now? Asked the scar-faced man beside her. For now, why don't we go stir up some trouble? Tang Tang said, giving Xiao Yan a fiery glance, seeking his opinion. Stir up trouble? Xiao Yan frowned at her words. The enormous beast from earlier clearly had a strength far surpassing his, as he was only in the early stage of a 5-star Do-D. If he got involved, it would likely end in disaster. The heaven-swallowing python is far stronger than you, Commander. Wouldn't it be reckless to get involved? Gu Lang, deep in thought, voiced his concern. I know, but the advantage is that we're in the shadows while they're out in the open, Tang Tang replied. Besides, with an attack on the Medusa clan underway, heading into the desert now would be unwise. That's true. If you asked me to enter the desert right now, I'd be the first to refuse, Scar-faced Tu Lang added. The treasure hidden in the desert is too valuable. We should wait until the Medusa clan's battle is over, or sneak in during the chaos. What could possibly be in the desert to make all these people so fearful? Xiao Yan wondered aloud, his gaze shifting toward the nearby desert. The desert's grayish sand appeared to contain some otherworldly energy, and in its depths, faintly concealed presences could be felt. Let's wait. This place is already full of danger. Entering the desert now would be suicidal, Gu Lang said, his rare tone of seriousness evident. Let's move. After some thought, the group decided to leave the desert's entrance and head toward the exposed divine hall. That's the Xuanling king? Xiao Yan's pupils contracted as he quickly realized what was happening. His eyes darted around as he spotted a figure cloaked in black, shrouded in eerie black Do-Chi, standing beside the Xuanling king. It was none other than Shinamo, the 8-star Do-D who had previously blocked Xiao Yan's path in the 9 fish playing with Dragon Array. Hmph! This time, you'll pay for everything you did before. Xiao Yan murmured with cold determination, his eyes flashing with malice as he stared up at Shinamo in the sky. Mu Yingying noticed Xiao Yan's change in demeanor and cast a concerned glance his way. I'm fine, Xiao Yan said, calming the fury within him and relaxing slightly. Let's see how this unfolds between the Xuanling royal family and the Medusa clan, Xiao Yan said, his aura surging again, enveloping the group in a powerful wave of soul power. The group exchanged glances and headed toward the direction of the divine hall. In the desert, a massive rift had opened, revealing the location of the divine hall. Many powerful individuals had gathered in the rift below. Damn it! The 7-colored heaven-swallowing python is real? The Xuanling king's heart sank as he became increasingly wary. The 7-colored heaven-swallowing python was an ancient beast capable of rivaling peak Do-D experts, far beyond the Xuanling king's ability to handle alone. The pressure on him grew immensely. Hmph! Qin Tian, I wonder how you'll escape this time. When the 9 chieftains of the Medusa clan gather, it will be your end. You will perish here, forever entombed in the desolate death desert. Elder Shifu sneered, gripping his serpent-headed staff arrogantly. Hiss, hiss, hiss. As the 7-colored heaven-swallowing python moved, it slithered toward Qing Yin with an almost affectionate demeanor. Hello, Qing Yin said, showing no fear. Her eyes flashed with a strange light as a peculiar glow enveloped her. The moment this eerie light appeared, the 7-colored python seemed to take a liking to Qing Yin, allowing her to gently stroke its forehead. Big snake, attack them. Qing Yin whispered, her lips curving slightly as she commanded the 7-colored heaven-swallowing python. As soon as Qing Yan's words fell, the 7-colored heaven-swallowing python's previously subdued aura surged violently. Its strength skyrocketed, revealing the power of a peak Do-D, specifically, a 9-turn 9-star Do-D, a half-step Do-Xian, a 9-turn 9-star Do-D, a 1-turn 9-star Do-D, and a 5-turn 9-star Do D. What a troublesome lineup, the Xuanling king muttered to himself. Despite the formidable lineup on his side, even they felt the pressure from the immense strength of the Serpent Folk clan. We can't wait any longer.
Attack!
Royal Uncle, I'll leave Shifu to you. As for the 7-colored heaven-swallowing python, Yimo, Xinming, and I will handle it. The rest of you, focus on taking down Qinghua Serpent and that green serpent. The Xuanling king issued his orders, calmly analyzing the situation. Perfect. Shifu grinned as a trace of excitement flickered across his wrinkled face. If that's the case, then let me show you the true strength of the Medusa clan. The dignity of Medusa is unquestionable. With those words, a terrifying aura exploded from Shifu. As Shifu made his move, the 7-colored heaven-swallowing python and Qinghua serpent wasted no time. They activated the Do Qi within their bodies, casting cold glances at the Xuanling king's group as the battle was about to erupt.